Thank you for joining me again in our series of videos that I am putting together for you out there for YouTube and everyone else in regards to funerals and funeral arrangements and questions and everything else that's included in that. This is the second video, or chapter 2 in the series. When do I call the funeral home? I've been asked that I don't know how many times. When do I call the funeral home? The answer is not as simple as you might expect. Most of us are under the impression that the minute we know that that death has occurred, we have got to get on the phone, we have to call the funeral home. There is no said rule that tells you you have to call that funeral home right now. It doesn't exist. There are many things that you as a family have to mentally prepare yourself for before making that phone call. Have you all had a chance to give your final goodbye? Have you all had a chance to maybe sit down in family prayer? Have you all had a chance to call your pastor, call your priest, call your rabbi, call whoever it is that you need to call? Have you had a chance to notify all the family? Do you have a family member that maybe lives an hour or two away? And maybe that family member would like to come in and say a final goodbye before I, as your funeral professional, come in to take your loved one into my care. Everyone's had their time. We're ready to call the funeral home. What funeral home do we call? So you open the yellow pages, or you pull it up on the internet and you say, oh, we have 17 funeral homes in town. Most of us are under the impression that, well, I'll go with the funeral home that's closest. Because bottom line, you need to have a funeral professional that's sitting there talking to you that can A, relate to what you're saying, B, not so much sympathize with you, but have some compassion as far as your story, your situation. These are very important things. If, though, you do not have a set preference, you have the time to make some phone calls. Make some phone calls and ask them, this is what we're looking at doing. We want cremation with no services, or we want a full burial mass, or whatever the service is that you are looking at wanting. And get a price. Get a quote. Now mind you, it's not going to be exact, because with this you have an urn to select, or you have a casket to select, or you've got flowers that you may or may not be buying through your funeral home. These things are all going to greatly influx and change your final picture. But what I recommend is, while you're getting this quote for their services, get a ballpark figure, low end and high end, on the merchandise that you have available that you're going to be required to purchase. This is going to give you a better idea as to what the final cost is going to be. Now, some funeral homes are going to be pretty much close together. Then you're going to find a funeral home that's going to be double or triple. And then you're going to find a funeral home that's going to be way down below them. And now you're sitting there thinking, why such a huge difference? Which leads us to the next thing. Take a look at those funeral homes you're calling. Let's say, for example, you are looking at organizing a cremation. Okay? We're not looking at having any service. The disposition we're looking at is going to be cremation. Okay. You call ABC Funeral Home. And for this, what we call in the business direct cremation, no services. With ABC Funeral Home, your direct cremation, no services, is going to cost you $2,700, not counting the merchandise. Meaning, that doesn't include your cremation container, that will not include your urn, and that also will not include any death certificates that you have, any obituaries that you may wish to publish. The list goes on and on. $2,700 with ABC Funeral Home. The next on the list you call is ABC Cremation Society. And their price they give you is $550. That's a huge, huge difference. So now you've got to sit back and say, why? Why do we have ABC Funeral Home at $2,700 and now we have ABC Cremation Society at $500? Okay, plain and simple. This goes to show the difference between a full-service funeral home as opposed to a cremation society. In a nutshell, a full-service funeral home is any funeral facility that is legally able to handle disposition of human remains, as well as has the ability to conduct a service, whether it be a funeral service, a memorial service, a celebration of life, a gathering in the park where maybe one person stands up, says a prayer, and then you eat. Regardless, what it is a service. That is your number one key word, service. Cremation Society is only able to handle the disposition of human remains. Unless otherwise specified within their licensing, most generally speaking, a cremation society is not legally able to conduct a funeral service. The reason for that being is to keep costs down. It costs a funeral home money to send staff out to organize the service, to have staff on the phone constantly lining up your pastors or your ministers, your clergy, flowers. Are we going to cater? Getting a church, getting a banquet hall, whatever it is that we need to make it work. Musicians, organists, bagpipers, whatever the deal may be, you must, as a funeral director or a funeral home owner, you've got to pay somebody or be paid yourself to take that time. We're talking hours and hours of work after you've already left from making arrangements. Many hours go in to organizing a funeral service or a simple memorial service. In addition to that, when the funeral day comes, we are required to be present for the most part. If I, as your funeral professional, am going to organize your funeral and set everything up and make it happen, you guarantee I'm going to be there because I have a lot vested in this as well. It's cost you several $1,000s. It's cost me many, many hours to make sure everything is done exactly the way you've told me you want it. So I'm definitely going to be there because things happen. In the event that the pastor gets sick, the event that the organist gets in a fender bender on the way or forgets, these things happen. So it's my job, at the spur of the moment, pick up my phone or sit down at the organ or walk up front, and now I'm the pastor. These are things that as your funeral professional, I am prepared to do. And every funeral professional out there that you're meeting with is also prepared for this. We've all experienced it one time or another in one fashion or other. So back to where we are, you're on the phone, you're trying to decide, what do I need to do? Knowing that cremation societies are strictly for cremation. Most of your cremation societies will also do immediate burials, which typically means you are not embalmed, there is no viewing, there is no funeral service, there is no graveside service. The individual will pass away, they place them in their casket that you have chosen, a grave is opened, they will take care of the burial. Now, typically, they will give you the option as to whether or not you'd like to be present for the burial, but there is no formal service. In the event of a formal service, that's something you as a family have done on your own. And once the burial is complete, that cremation society will leave. They may stick around for the service, but they are not running it. They have nothing whatsoever to do with that service. And if the event something goes wrong, their hands are tied. They are not legally able to do anything as far as service goes. Keep that in mind. If what you're looking for is a direct cremation, no services, very cut and dry, it's going to be very quick, very simple, and you want it very inexpensive, chances are you're going to want to go with a cremation society. If, on the other hand, you're up in the air, you're not real sure, do I want a service, do I not want a service, you might want to consider going with someone like ABC Funeral Home. True, it's $2,700 as opposed to the $500 ABC Cremation Society, but again, you get what you're paying for. It just depends on what you're looking at wanting to do. You go with a cremation society to keep costs down, and then you say, we're going to have a celebration of life at a later date. Okay, several things to think about when doing that. It's a lot of work. You, as a family member that has just experienced the loss of a loved one, my recommendation to you is either find a pastor who's a very dear friend of yours, or get another family member to help you, get a friend to help you. Better yet, a mutual friend. Not only your friend, but a friend of your loved one. That is going to make things a lot more personal. As with any video, when I wrap it up, in the event you have any questions, you have any concerns, or you have something you'd like to add to what I've said in this video, please give me an email. My email address is majorpell@yahoo.com. That's Major Pell, P-E-L-L, @yahoo.com. I thank you for listening. I hope this is a little bit of information that you can use. I hope it was informative, and I wish you all the best. I'll see you the next time. Thank you.